Welcome to the Romans 911 Project podcast, where stepping into the reconnection in the one new man and the fullness of John 17 love and unity is becoming a reality. In each episode, join Grant Berry to drill down deeper into this reconnection and alignment message and the final reforms for the ecclesia, for the church. As we will discover, the reconnection becomes a power key to open the door to God's end-time plans, to help restore the family of God for the preparation of the bride, the last great harvest, and Israel's salvation, all of which will lead to the Lord's return. The reconnection message has end-time consequences for us all. Here's Grant.
If we want the fire, we have to reconnect the wire. Beloved, we have spent the last 80 plus podcasts introducing and promoting the reconnection message. This is a tie-in to Reconnection Mandate Directive number 1, where we would really understand this message and its significance during this day of Israel's awakening. We are going to make a transition now into the legs and a face. And what does that mean? Putting legs and a face to this message. There are many great books written about the one new man, introducing it to us, but little has been written to put flesh to this message. What will it look like in the church as the church and the Messianic bodies come together, as the church in the nations come together with the believing body, the remnant of Israel in the land? And so I really hope that you enjoy these next conversations as we dialogue on what the reconnection is, what it will look like, adjustments and modifications to be made to the entire church, both here and in Israel, and then additional adjustments for those churches in the parts of the world that are connected to more heavily populated Jewish areas. So, beloved, I hope that you enjoy these podcasts, and just want to encourage you always to reach out to us with your questions and comments, and go on the Reconnecting Ministries website at romans911.org. May the God of Israel richly bless you. Lots of love to you in Yeshua. Beloved, we're in the final stage of the legs and a face section. What does the reconnection really look like? And we're looking at Messianic expression. This is the third podcast in this series. I encourage you to listen to part 1, which is about Messianic congregations, which is really the main focus for Messianic expression. And then in part 2, we address dual expression, which is churches having dual services, one regular service on Sunday for Christians, and then one on Saturday for Jewish believers and Christians who may want to connect to their Jewish roots and heritage more, but also those Christians who are called to serve the Jewish community, which really is the calling of true and proper calling of a Messianic Gentile that will come and live alongside a Jewish believer in a very similar fashion, and live the same type of Jewish lifestyle through the feasts and the biblical calendars. So our third focus today is through a parachurch Messianic ministry focus within the local church. And actually, this was one of my main experiences in Messianic ministry. I shepherded a Messianic congregation for over 10 years in the New York, Connecticut area, in Armonk and Greenwich, Connecticut. And we had more of a Messianic parachurch focus. We didn't meet every week. We used to meet once a month. And the main purpose of that was to help Christians understand their Jewish roots and heritage and give them an opportunity to be introduced into the one new man. And believe it or not, I think that parachurch ministry focus, like once a month, First Fridays, for example, some of them are often called, to really, there are young people in the church that are getting a deeper calling to want to help the rest of the church understand the time that we're moving into. Beloved, we're being prepared to reconnect with Israel, not just personally, but corporately. The Lord is coming. We're living in the time and the era where the Lord is going to come back and reign on the earth and establish an Israeli monarch on the earth, of which we are its priests and representatives scattered throughout the nations. And so there's a real important shift that has to take place, not only personally, but corporately for the church to rediscover not just its roots and heritage, but its connection to Israel, to be its commonwealth. And dual expression, parachurch is somewhat similar to dual expression, but it has more of an evangelistic focus, can have more of an evangelistic focus. We established many meetings just to invite Jewish people to hear the gospel, to fellowship with them, especially around the feast, around Hanukkah and Passover. Great ways to share the gospel with Jewish people and to share the love. But it also can be used as an equipping center to help, to really help Christians understand this connection. Now, we have to understand the church has been so separate from Israel for 1,800 years. It believes it's Israel without Israel, which are the influences of replacement theology. But we can never be Israel without our connection back to Israel. Remember Ephesians 3, beloved, together with Israel. There wasn't a people of Israel to connect with 50 years ago, but since Israel took back sovereignty of Jerusalem, the restoration and salvation of Israel began. And there are over 1 million Jews, it's estimated, already in North America that believe that Yeshua is the Messiah. We're living in that day. And it's so important for us not only to understand a Messianic expression in Jewish believers, but to reconnect in love and unity. And Lord, the Lord wants to rebuild love and unity. I actually think that the parachurch focus is a great way to build the message of reconciliation and restoration in the body. And also as a Jewish leader running a Messianic congregation, I got to connect with all the local leaders and the pastors to pray with them, go to their pastors' meeting on a monthly basis where they had them, and share the heart of the Father for the church to understand the significance of connecting with this tiny remnant, the covenant people who God has promised to restore. And so I think there's a wonderful place in the body for a parachurch Messianic ministry focus. And if you're a younger believer out there called to ministry and sensing a call to your Jewish roots and heritage and deeper into John 17, love and unity and the one new man, pray about starting a Messianic expression in your church. What a wonderful thing that would be to become a bridge between your local church and all the churches around, and there would be a center. And up until COVID, we had people visiting us from all over the state of Connecticut and upstate New York on regular basis. Our feast times were filled with the presence of God. And we also had a greater focus on worship rather than just doing a 15 or 20-minute worship set in a Sunday meeting that most churches are doing today. We would soak in the presence of the Lord. And often it would take us time to break through. But then, oh my God, the presence of the Lord would come in a way that we would just soak and we hear his voice and his guidance and his direction. And the Lord placed an additional anointing of his presence in those meetings for those that were called, and for those that would learn more about their Jewish roots and heritage. And while, beloved, we're still a remnant, God is going to raise up a remnant, rebuild a remnant, and use that remnant to reach the rest of the body. Beloved, I wouldn't want to be one that's against Israel when the Lord returns. There is a shift that the Father is calling us to, and partnership, not just to bless Israel, that we would be blessed, but to partner with him. That circle of love we talk about in the Foundations book in chapter 2, where the Jews laid down their lives, Jewish believers that believed in Yeshua, and they brought Yeshua out to the nations, that God's children from the nations could believe in him and become one with him and one with them, and be partakers in Israel and part of the covenants that were given to them, equally sharing through the new covenant, those from near, those from far. But now, beloved, the circle of love continues around to the point that God is now calling his children from the nations to call on the breath, that it may enter these slain, that they may live. And with the mercy that you have received, beloved, that you would release that mercy back to them. That's a call to the Gentiles in the family, God's children in the nations, to love Israel on account of the patriarchs, to draw them to jealousy, never to be arrogant, thinking that we've replaced them. And with that mercy we've received in our own salvation. Just meditate on that. Beloved, that's one of the focuses of the parachurch ministry focus, to establish a place where Jewish believers can come, or Jewish people can come and hear the gospel, and Christians can bring their Jewish friends, but also for Christians to learn about their Jewish roots and heritage. We're going to complete this segment in session number 4 on this, part number 4, Messianic expression, which is moving Jewish and Gentiles into one new family, one new body. So until that time, beloved, may the God of Israel richly bless you. Lots of love in Yeshua.
Thank you, Grant, for that insightful discussion. To dialogue with Grant and Hallie, please send comments and questions to email at romans911.org. Again, that's email at romans911.org. If you resonate with the Romans 911 Project, please pray about partnering with us to bring this reconnection message to the threshold of the church. Sign up for our monthly email. Join our global virtual meetings with other believers to dialogue and pray together. And most important, read the Romans 911 book, Time to Sound the Alarm, and view the Romans 911 Study Guide 12 to 14-hour video teachings, which are free when you purchase the study guide. The Romans 911 books and teachings are transformational into God's end-time plans to prepare the bride and reform the church. They help to create the breakthrough that will change the world. The reconnection message is like a golden key from the heart of the Father to restore love and unity in God's family that opens the door to the fulfillment of Yeshua's prayer in John 17. And it establishes the pathway for the body of Messiah, the body of Christ, to receive the greater glory. But this reconnection message in the one new man has been hidden during the church age, in the mystery to reawaken Israel to faith, and is only just now coming to light. That's why we need your help to fund this project, to bring the message forth, to help us blow the holy shofar, to awaken the greater church into this restoration. Now is the time. Would you pray to give chai, to give life to the reconnection, to reach the church and the Messianic body, and help unite the family of God? To fund the Romans 911 Project, we have created the Give Chai Life campaign. Chai is a Hebrew word meaning life, but it also represents the number 18. And for just one chai, $18 a month, you can make a difference. Please be prayerful about this. We can't do this without precious saints like yourself who are beginning to get this revelation to help us bring this message before the church. For more information on the Romans 911 Project, please visit our website at romans911.org. It's easy to remember, romans911.org. Please also subscribe to the Romans 911 Project wherever you listen to podcasts at the end.